Once you've done that initial process, you've got a list and you start cutting down. What I suppose are the next steps once you've found your set list of say 30 or 40 horses or however it may be?
Well, it's an interesting process. What we do is we might start off and we might have say 300 on the list out of 900. And then we go through round one and I go through that and I cull that list down. I individually look at each one, I give it a rating, A, B, C or D. C and D fall off the list straight away. So after I've gone through that first 300, and they're only a quick look, you know, just basic facts of the animal, bang, 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 C or D's fall off the list. And I might be down to a list of 100. I then go back a second time with my bloodstock consultant and good mate of mine, Gary Munchway, who you'll find information about on this website. But we go back then together and we bounce ideas about each horse off one another. And we'll probably drag that list from 100 down to, say, 50. From there, I then let Gary go off on his way because he's doing other business, but that's when I introduce my veterinarian, Tim Roberts, to the equation. But I only introduced Tim at that stage, and there's a reason behind that, and it's economics. Tim charges me on an individual horse-by-horse basis, so no point starting him with 300 if we're going to get down to 50 anyway, because at the end of the day I have to diffuse those costs across each of the syndicates. So the bottom line is we do all the hard work and the culling process and we get down to our base list. From there, that's when I bring Tim Roberts into the scene, and Dr. Roberts then analyses these horses with me. And there will be question marks on the conformational structure of most of the horses that we still have left. And when I say question marks, there's no such thing as the perfect horse. It's never been born. Each horse has something that you critique. And we bounce ideas off each other from a veterinary perspective and a biomechanical perspective. Once we then determine if that horse should stay on the list or shouldn't stay on the list, if it should stay on the list, Tim will then take it into the stable where it's just come from, and with his stethoscope he'll listen to its heart to make sure that the heart is beating in the proper way. And then, once Tim's given me the okay on both confirmation and also he's listened to the heart and he's happy with the way that sounds, we leave that on the list and we roll on to the next horse and the next horse and the next horse, and we still might take, say, another 10 or 15 off that core list, and then we'll be left with somewhere 30, 35, 40 horses on what we call our primary list. The horses that, out of the catalogue of 900, we're down to those. From there, this is where it gets really, we're down to the nitty-gritty now. And what happens is that we go down and sit down at the end of that round of inspections and we compare our notes that we took on each horse again. And from that list, I then give Tim the final list. He then, that evening, sits down after the close of inspections, normally about 5 p.m, and will then read all the x-rays for each horse that has survived our process list to that date. You would be surprised how many horses we lose at this stage. We have a golden rule here at Dynamic Syndications, and we never ever stray from it, and that is, if in doubt, rule it out. I have a golden rule when it comes to horse selection. I believe a trainer, just through circumstance, can break down a sound horse. They don't need to start training a horse with an existing problem in the first instance. It just accelerates the risk of breakdown. We're not interested in those types of horses. We only buy between 15 and 20 yearlings every year. We don't need to start buying horses with a problem in the first instance, because it's a false economy. You might get them cheaper and they might be cheaper share, but you won't win in the end because they won't stay sound long enough to return your prize money on the racetrack. So if Tim finds something, and there's no such thing as a clean set of x-rays, what happens, there are either graded as low risk, low to medium, medium to high, high risk. If we've got a low to medium risk, it's off the list. It's only low risk horses on x-ray that we will accept and leave on our list. So you'll see all these different steps that have gone into the process. The horse has been critiqued by me in the first instance. Then it's been critiqued by myself with Gary Mudgway in the second process. The third process is it's then critiqued by Dr. Roberts. The fourth process, it's then had its x-rays read by Dr. Roberts as well. Tim then gives me his final list of horses that pass and horses that have not passed. That doesn't mean the horses that haven't passed won't go on and win races. It just means that the risk for us is far too high. We won't pass that type of risk on to our clients. Once the final list has been determined, I then go through, as a member of the Bloodstock Agents Federation and a licensed valuer of thoroughbreds, and having 30 years experience in the industry, I then go and do the valuation aspects of each horse that has survived that list. And I write that valuation down on the top of the pedigree page for each horse that I have an interest in at the sales. And that's vital, because the last thing you want to do at an auction sale is get involved in the emotional hype and of a yearling running through the sale ring and people calling and the competitive nature of it. That's where you pay overs. Remember, it's a business and you've got to be able to get a return on investment. You don't pay overs for any horse in the ring, no matter how much you like it. The reality is that you never pay overs, because you must be able to show the opportunity of getting a profit at the other end of the day.